Very good morning, comrades. First of all, welcome back to the summit. We apologize for being away for almost half a year by now, probably.
Yeah, I don't even know when the last one was. I can't remember.
Me neither, to be honest. But one of the most important topics of the summit is the drink of the summit. Usually we have alcoholic drinks made by you.
Yeah, I think the time of day, maybe we don't need it right now.
Yeah, I mean, it is probably, well, it's evening somewhere in the world, but I have to drive back. You still have to do some work before you're gonna like sign a contract for like 0 interest on like forever, like give away houses and stuff. Yeah, so we decided to drink amazing coffee at the Mandrill Bar and Cafe, or is it just
Wine bar, cafe, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Cocktail bar.
So thank you very much, Tiffany, for allowing us to sit here and occupy the space, and for amazing coffee. If you're ever in nearby Ramstein, make sure to pop in and get coffee or one of the drinks when it's appropriate time. But anyhow, going back to the summit, we have a couple of topics today. Main ones are the taxi, the rentals, and racing. Probably, usually it would be like already too close to each other, but since we've been half a year away from the last time we had the summit, it's almost end of the year video, but not completely, because we are going to have an end of the year video when it's going to be end of the year. Stating the obvious. So let's start with the taxi, which is like the most probably requested question, inquiry, considering the history of things, of you saying like, I'm not gonna get a Porsche, and then you ended up with a GT3, and in the meanwhile you have ordered a GT4, and now we have a GT2 as a taxi. Why, like, not really mid-season, but before the season ends change, and well, why the car there in general?
I mean, there's a lot of different things that I've always spoke about on the track, and even one of my big arguments was, okay, why don't I have a Porsche? Why don't I have a Porsche? And it wasn't that I hated them. Actually, one of the things I said was, if I was smart, it's what I would get in terms of running costs and simplicity of acquiring parts and things of that nature. But what I didn't like about them was that when you go in the car park with your Porsche, there's bound to be 12 other ones of your exact spec, right?
I know the problem.
And that was pretty funny, because when last season, when the first day out in the car park with the yellow GT3 RS, literally was coming off the track behind a yellow Mark II 911 GT3 RS, and I took a picture of it and I even posted on Instagram. I said, "See, this is the problem." Now, a lot of times you have to say, okay, well, is that really a problem? Obviously, the cars were built to drive like they do. The front end grip is tremendous on the GT3 RS. They, as a whole, everybody says they're very reliable. Mm-hmm. As we know, I was a bit frustrated with that yellow one. Things happened. But those problems have all been resolved actually with that car. And it was just some silly flukes, if you would. But the exclusivity, and it's not one of those things where you have to stand out, but you want to be original in a lot of things that you do. It's why people build their own track cars the way that they do. It's why people put their own stickers on the car, their own design on the car, why they put a wrap on their race cards to be individual and to basically be how they want to represent it. And so for me, driving with the McLarens was something that I absolutely love the brand. I love the technology behind the brand. I love the look of the cars. I love the feel of the cars. I still do not think I've been in a car that has a better seating position than my 675 LT. I fit in it perfectly. The way that you're sitting back with your feet at the pedals, it's perfect.
It's actually the only car in the world, I would say, where braking with the right foot feels weird, because it's set up for a left foot braking.
It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. And so something like that to me says a lot, and I really do enjoy that style driving. So when it came to the taxi program, I said, well, we're going to have to offer the cars that we want to drive. Mm-hmm. So if I really love driving a McLaren and I really love the McLaren experience, then that's what I want the customers to ride in.
However, actually, before we got the McLaren, we went to Manthey-Racing and asked them, like, what's the craziest car you can build for us?
Yeah, and that was the question. We said, look, we want a taxi. We want something, it has to be exclusive. It has to be exciting. And this was in, I guess, 2017.
Yeah, beginning like January. Like when we were bidding on the program.
Right, or no, it was
December,
end of 17, beginning of 18.
Yeah, end of 7, yeah, exactly.
And we started talking, and they said, you should give the GT3 RS. And I, not that that's wrong, it's actually the right answer.
Yeah.
In terms of finances and making sense. But we said, look, we want Apex to be a brand that stands out, a brand that's different, that doesn't follow the cookie cutter mold. And that's why we have the McLarens. That's why McLaren is around, because it also doesn't fit that cookie cutter mold of, you know, the daily track car and things like that. So they, you know, Porsche doesn't really like turning race cars into road cars. That's something that they think, okay, you know, race cars should be on race series and road cars should be used on the road and tourist and fart and things like that, which is completely understandable. So the idea of getting to take a, you know,
RSR,
or GT4, GT3 car, anything like that, and convert it to a road legal car would be out of the question. They definitely wouldn't be too fond of that. So with Manthey, it was at that time we were kind of limited as to what the options were, aside from doing like a GT3 RS and building it up. But like I said, we didn't want to be the third one, maybe fourth one in the car park.
Exactly.
So over the time we ran the McLarens, and absolutely thrilled with how the McLarens perform. Nobody got out of the McLaren saying, wow, that was slow or that wasn't exciting. The sheer power of the 720 just pins you in your seat. It's like a jet. When you hear when you get on the gas, it literally spools up and just, you know, the jet comes on and you feel it. You know, you get pressed in your seat. And then the 600 LT came along, and that thing still to this day has the most playful chassis, the most engaging chassis of any car I've driven on the Nordschleife. Before, I used to say that the Schirmer E92, the V8, was my favorite chassis, and I have to say that the 600 LT has surpassed that. The E92 you can just drive and you can steer it with the pedals. You literally rotate the car, you know, whatever way you want. You get it to do what you want with the pedals, and you can do that with the 600 LT. You know, you can trail brake it in, you can do whatever you want. You can just steer the whole car, and you feel what every corner is doing, and that makes it a very exciting car for the customer, because we're able to go through the turns and let it slide and let it move around, and you're not being dangerous with it. You're just having fun, and the customer feels that. And the 600 LT without the insulation, with the carbon fiber Senna seats, if you want to call it that, they're super lightweight seats. Everything is vibrating and has a certain resonation to it at different RPMs, and it's a very exciting car. So the 600 LT was an absolutely phenomenal car to have as a taxi. The 720 was a phenomenal car to have as a taxi. Unfortunately, towards the end of the year, we started running into a couple maintenance issues, and it was more so with the 720. After 42,000 kilometers, we ended up blowing a head gasket. And unfortunately, the situation happened on the track. We were able to get it off the track, and then, the motor blew up. And so that car has been out for a little while, waiting on the new motor to come and doing all these things. And so, okay, well, we still had the 600 LT. So we were running the 600 LT in, I would say, we started in March, April, May, June, July, August. In six and a half months, we put 25,000 kilometers on that car in the Nordschleife. In 6.5 months. That's a lot. That thing was just never rested. We were, you know, throwing brake pads at it, tires at it, going through maintenance services at night. You know, we would take it down to Stuttgart for service on a Friday night, and they'd do all the work that needed to be done on a Friday night. We'd bring it back up and have it there for Saturday morning. I mean, everybody literally kicked butt, from McLaren to the Apex team, all the drivers. Tim was driving the car down to Frankfurt and Stuttgart for services in between TF sessions. I mean, that thing was on fire. It was awesome. It was really, really cool. Then unfortunately, the fuel tank cracked. Okay. And so with the cracked fuel tank, that's not something that obviously McLaren is used to, having a cracked fuel tank on their cars. So they wanted to see, you know, what happened. Did we hit something? Was it through prolonged vibration? You know, what was the cause of it? So they wanted to look at it. And we made the decision, hey, we're supporting McLaren in this, and we're working together. I'm not going to sit here and push for a new for a solution. You know, I don't need it back right now. Take your time, make sure you know what's going on, because that's ultimately going to help the end customer if it was something to do with vibrations or something like that. So at that point, we're saying, okay, we're waiting on a 720 motor. 600 LT has a cracked fuel tank. What are we going to do? You know, I mean, easily we can just say, okay, guys, we're done. We don't have any two-seater taxi for the rest of the year.
Buy another McLaren. You know, all these different things that you can go through. But we said, well, why would we do all of that when months before, well, actually over a year and a half before, we already started talking with Manthey-Racing. Earlier in the summer, we'd already started talking with them again to re-engage on different things such as racing and road cars and everything like that. And so we already had the seed planted
of a GT2 RS as a taxi. And because we don't want to just offer, again, any old GT2 RS, we wanted to always offer something exciting, something that was different. We said, okay, the MR package is now finally ready for production. The MR package is ready end of October to be released to the customers, so why would we not go ahead and go with the GT2 RS with the MR package? And now we do have that exclusivity. We have a car that you take out on the track. It's built for the Nordschleife. That is the Nordschleife package.
Yeah. And on top of that, we always want to have the new exciting thing. So we went from the 720, which was already like the top of the level, to 600 LT, which a lot of people said like, oh, you're going to downgrade because you go from 720 to 600 LT. And we had dozens of customers, probably maybe even a couple of hundreds, who rode 720 first, went to 600 LT, and they said, this is more awesome on a different level, just as awesome, but definitely not worse. And the question is going to be, what are we going to run for our third year? Well, the national step would be, the rational step would be either a Senna, which is already out, but like not financially,
Doesn't make
it doesn't make sense. 760 or 750 OT, not going to be out by next year.
Exactly.
So having a Spider, meh. So yeah, something else, something which again does not need any explanation because GT2 RS MR is now claimed the fastest production car on the Nürburgring. So this is again another thing that you don't need to explain to people. This is the fastest, I want to go out in there, done.
Yeah. So, and that's the idea, is that we want to offer something exciting. We don't want to just say, oh, here's a basic car, we've set it up so that it's low cost and things like that. We want to offer a car that truly is exciting. And I want to have exciting drivers for it. I want to have fast drivers for it, safe drivers. This thing is a weapon in the wet. It's incredibly quick in the dry. I mean, I watched the videos of the guys and I'm just thinking, my gosh, this thing is flying. Absolutely flying out there. It's really cool to see, and they still have so much safety margin. Yeah. They still have so much safety margin. We're seeing over 280 before the crest at Schradenkreuz. I mean, Moritz in the rain, I think, hit 250 at the crest in the video that you just put out. It's intense. It really is intense. And so, for me, like I said, having the most exciting drivers, driving the most exciting cars is really what it's all about. Yeah. So, so the short end of it is we needed a taxi. We had already been talking with Manthey extensively about different options. The MR kit was just about to be available. And so everything fell in place at just the right time. And we said, okay, we get to have a car that is, in terms of the outright lap time, the record holder at the moment. We get to have a car that's exciting and very exclusive. And
our drivers don't need to drive all the way down to Stuttgart or Frankfurt to have a service.
Absolutely. Because so it makes it very nice. So the convenience is, honestly, if we need something, the guys at Manthey are incredible. We call them up, we say, hey, we see this, we see that, we need this part. Okay, pop by right now, we'll have it for you, or just swing the car over, we'll take care of it. And they knock stuff out, like this. It's really, really nice. But at the end of the day, this doesn't change the fact that I still love McLaren. It's the car that, in terms of the excitement of the car and everything, the car that I still want to represent. So that's why we are going to continue running the 720 alongside the GT2. And you guys can actually book both cars. So we have, if you guys go in the calendar, you'll be able to see all year there's availability for the 720S. So I want to run both cars in parallel. I think that's also a really neat way for people to experience both cars. Someone could actually book a package where they get each car and get to experience the cars back to back, for example. And you get to obviously see two different types of mentality. Yeah. The 720S, I'm sorry, in a straight line will blow the doors off the GT2. That thing is, it's amazing. Yeah. The straight speed, when you come out of Flugplatz, for example, over Schradenkreuz, you think the GT2 is fast. The 720 is just like a rocket propulsion, you know what I mean? And so in that case, it really is a different experience. The GT2 offers you tremendous front end grip and corner speed, and the motor sounds fantastic with pops and bangs and everything like that. But the 720 is just about acceleration. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So make sure to head over to our website, apex-nürburg.com, or shoot us an email if you want to have a booking for next year. Both cars are going to stay at $299. Yeah, which is, like I said, stupid. The cost of the GT2 is astronomical. Yeah. But we want to make sure that the product is available to the market. If we go in and say the car really should go for $499, to be honest, based on the cost of the car and the parts that are on it and everything like that. it really should go for $499. But at the same time, we want it to be reachable. We want people to be able to get in it. And obviously, I'm certain that if we put the price up €200, we would probably get maybe 20% less laps and actually make more money, to be honest with you. But that's not really the interest that we have. We want everyone to be able to experience it. I think we live in a day and age where you can go in video games and you can see cool cars. Social media has made it to where everybody is chasing the coolest, newest car and wants to be a part of it. Why can't we offer something that's actually real, that people can actually get in a GT2 RS MR or a 720S on the Nürburgring and experience the ultimate cars?
Yeah, exactly. So you can also get a voucher for next year and pick a date later.
Yeah, that's what I would also do, is just buy vouchers, and it could be good for either car.
Yeah, good. And now to our next topic, rental cars. No, actually, wait a minute. We have also another taxi, M3. What are we doing with that for next year?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know what else to do. That car's insane. You know, if you look at that car and how people enjoy it and how people love it, and the way that the guys are driving it, you know, and it's exciting. It's really, really exciting. And I've thought about all these different options and ideas of what we could do instead, but you know what? People love it. And so I don't think at the moment that we're going to change that car. That car is phenomenal. It's 4 bucket seats, cage, harnesses. The only other option that we have would be to buy something else and do the same thing to it.
Yeah.
You know, because in my eyes, something that doesn't have cages and seats and harnesses, et cetera, is just going to be a step backwards.
Yeah.
So we're going to go through the car. We've actually already gone through and completely rebuilt the entire front end. We put a new motor in it this summer. After November, we're going to go through and completely replace the entire the rear drivetrain in terms of the diff again, which that's a kind of a every winter type of thing. Suspension, go through all the uniballs and everything, all the kinematics. We just go through and replace everything, refresh it, and have it ready for another season.
Cool. So also that will stay at 269.
Yeah, it'll stay at 269. I think that's a very fair price for the car. Again, I mean, if you again want to look at value, there's more in that car than your typical 2-seater taxi.
Yeah, in case you missed the video from last year, check it out where we explained the running costs of running 720 and the M3. We will do these videos again at the end of the year, what it takes to run the M3 again with a cage, because we were thinking like, is it going to be cheaper to run because it's going to have less weight?
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, we knew we weren't going to shave a ton of weight.
No.
I can give a kind of a little teaser here. We didn't shave a ton of weight. But you have to keep in mind that we have race car drivers driving this thing, okay?
True.
And this year we went directly to the semi-slick from Nankang, the AR1, and then we put a cage and harnesses, okay? So your drivers are now connected to the car, and they're just inherently fast drivers as it is, so now they want to drive even faster.
Yeah.
And there's times I've said, hey guys, I want to deliver a great lap to the customer, but they're not going to notice the difference between 10 seconds. You know, we need to make sure that the next 30 laps we have to do today can get done, that we're not, you know, breaking drivetrain components just because we're running 2 tons at this incredible pace, you know. So the idea behind this car is to be able to deliver a very quick lap, and we are. Our laps are as quick as some 2-seaters, and that's insane if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
And if we're able to deliver that lap after lap, that's fantastic, right? So the idea is to build the car in a way that it can go tremendously fast, but build it in a way that it's exciting still to drive at 90% or 85% and reliable, so that we can drive at that 85% all day long, and that 85% is still screaming fast. And that's the idea behind it. So this year we had a lot of, you know, growing and development to say, hey, how do we drive this car so it's fast and exciting, but not all out pace on a Nankang AR1 semi-slick, full Schirmer race suspension and kinematics and components. The thing's a weapon.
Yeah.
It absolutely is a weapon. I've got videos of the car going through the left-hander, the actual Schradenkreuz turn, over 205 kilometers an hour. I mean, that's flying. Fully loaded, 4 people, 205 through the turn.
Yeah.
You know, for a car like that, 2 tons, it's moving.
It's pretty crazy. So yeah, what I want to say, the costs, running cost explanation video will follow later this year when we're going to compare all these cars again. But safe to say, the car will stay there for next year, 269 euros for a lap. You can divide it by 3 people. It's going to be 90 euro a lap, and you can also again order a voucher for next year if you want to experience that. Now, moving on to the rental cars. We have had a couple of changes this year. We added the Supra. The first, I want to give a massive shout out to the white Polo, the massive weapon of them all that has left our rental fleet.
White Polo's gone into retirement?
Yeah, because...
Is this the first car that's gone into safe retirement? Well,
yeah.
I guess other than the red Cupra.
Yeah.
You know, the red Cupra went into safe retirement, but the white Polo has done 70,000 kilometers.
Yeah.
70,000 kilometers, and we just said, you know what? It's been a great car. It has been a workhorse. Everybody's loved it. Mm-hmm. Let's pull it out of the rental fleet. Let it, you know, go on to its next life happily and safely. And
disclaimer to be told, probably 10,000 of that was on public roads, yes, some airport runs, but still a majority of it on the same engine.
Gearbox.
Gearbox, it only had only a minor fix. It was not even a gearbox.
No, we just did fluid.
Yeah, it was a fluid fix, and that's it. So again, a great car. I would do a video on it later on, how much it costs nowadays, because I think it still would be like a great first timer track car.
So I'll be honest with you, that car is wonderful. Yeah, absolutely amazing. That thing performed flawlessly. It was always there for us. You know, on really hot days when we had over 40 degrees, you would get a
gearbox
DSG over temp warning. But you know, I'm sorry, I'm giving over temp warnings when it's 40 degrees.
Yeah, exactly. Can be easily solved with the additional gearbox cooling.
But that's any car is going to do that. You know, running hard like that. So.
675 LT does not want to run with aircon on.
No, do you know what? The 675 LT, if we're on the track above 28 degrees, I can't do a full lap at full pace.
Yeah.
It's just basically the water temperature and oil temperatures get too high and it goes into limp mode. So it starts out that the AC shuts off first, and then you keep pushing, and then it reduces power. You know, and that's unfortunate. So if a 675 LT can't do it, but a Polo can, I think that's pretty damn good.
Yeah. So that car went in retirement, but it will be replaced.
It'll be replaced. Yeah. So next year we're going to actually make a couple changes. They go hand in hand. We're pulling out the Golf GTI, so that will no longer be on offer next year. So if anyone wants it, this year's I think, what do we have? Maybe 4 or 5 weekends left, 6 weekends. This will be the last year that you can drive the Golf GTI. But that's because we're replacing it with a fleet of 5 Polos. So if you want to...
And to think of that, 2 years ago, we did not even have 5 rental cars.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, it makes sense. There's a reason for it. You know, we went, I went out and I drive every car that we have. Yeah. You know, and I go out and enjoy them and have fun with them. And for some reason, whenever I'm up, hey, where's the Polo at? I was always asking for the Polo. You know, and the 675's in the garage, the 600 LT's sitting there, you know, the 720, whatever it might have been. The Pista,
you probably forgot that you have the Pista.
The Pista was at home in the barn, and you know, even the Schirmer cars are sitting there, and I'm like, where's that Polo? Yeah, you know, let me find the Polo. And there's a reason for it. It is a fun car. Yeah. You know, going out in the fast cars, these exclusive cars and blah, 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 like I was talking about earlier, it's fun, but when you go out there, everyone's got like a bullseye on you, like, oh man, I got to go race that. I've got to keep up with that. And you don't want that all the time. You actually don't want that ever. You just want to go out and have fun. You know, sometimes I'll take the cars out and I'll cruise with the kids, and someone's all over your bumper thinking you're racing them, but you're driving at 50% because you've got a kid in the car. And it ends up being this thing that you have to maintain, and you always look out for everybody else because of that. And the Polo had just started out with something that I'd put 2 car seats in, Tiffany would jump in, and we just go fly around in it in the rain, in the dry, whatever, and we loved it. And so obviously, well, what's going to be better? One with more power. Let's get a Golf, right? And so we got the Golf, and then I started driving it, and I would take the Golf out, and I was like, yeah, okay, the Golf's good. The Golf's good. This thing's fast. It's got, you know, a little bit more top end power, blah, blah, blah. But the more I would drive it, I say, you know what? The Polo's a better car. And so I would go back and forth, get in the Golf because the Golf was available. First I was looking for the Polo, and I'd get in the Golf. I'd go out and say, okay, this is all right. Long story short, one day I just said, you know what, I'm going to go up and I'm going to find out which car I like more. Block them both. I'm just going to go lap both of them and see what I feel about them and what I find about them. I didn't do any research on the car's power, weight, or anything like that. And I got done, and actually Tom was with me for some of the laps, and I said, you know what, Tom, the Polo's the car. I like the Polo more. And my feeling on it was that the Polo's lighter. The chassis is the same, but it feels smaller. It actually has a more compact feel to it when you're driving it, so it feels more nimble. So what I noticed was that the car was lighter, so I was able to carry more speed places. The car changed directions better because of that weight, and I didn't feel like there was a big torque difference. So my take on it was that if the car feels more nimble, if the car feels noticeably lighter, especially on the top, you can feel that the weight in the Polo, the center of gravity is lower in the Polo than in the Golf, because when you're in the turns, you don't get the car wanting to lean as much, and it changes directions better. Okay, and afterwards I said, okay, the Polo hands down is the car that I want to drive if I'm going out on the track, and I firmly believe that I can get the Polo around the track just as fast as I can get the Golf around the track. Okay, and I think I can do it more safely, because the weight management, where the weight is in the car and how it's moving around. And I felt like the Golf was only faster in acceleration on the top end. And so the other day I was talking with George, who's a major Golf fan, so I think I hurt his feelings. He's sitting right there.
But speaking of the safety, it's actually unfortunately been proven
Yes,
that
it has.
a Polo has never had an accident.
A Polo GTI has never had an accident.
Yeah. GTI has never had an accident, and the Golf in the first 3 months had probably had three
Little fender benders,
or something. People would understeer somewhere, or
exactly.
So it's actually again a safer car, a better track car in the end.
It is, and I firmly believe driving it on the limit and getting it to that limit, the Polo is easier to recover, it's easier to control, and it's easier to place where you want. You can drive a Polo fast, smoother, and I think that has to do with where the weight is.
Yeah.
You know, where the weight is. It's not wanting to swing around and tilt and offset the suspension and things like that. So absolutely love the Polos.
This is what Volkswagen does not want you to know.
So the funny thing is, when there's a couple ways we'll go with this, but when we were looking at the replacement, getting these cars, I actually could have got Golf GTIs for cheaper than Polos, because the Golf 8 is coming out. So we could have actually spent less money and got a fleet of Golfs. But I said, no, the Polo's the car that I like. So we actually spent more money to get Polos, which seems ironic, but that's how it is with, manufacturer rebates for the use and everything like that. But in the straight lines, I felt the Golf had more top-end power just in the high RPMs. But in the mid-range, I didn't really notice a difference. Coming out of the Apex, for example, you get back on the gas, the Polo felt as if accelerated, and you were seeing similar straight line speeds. And later, when George and I sat down and we were having our Polo versus Golf wars, we looked it up and we saw, I think there was only a few newton meters of torque difference between the car, 30 newton meters of difference, and that was made up heavily by the weight savings of the car. So if you knock 75 kilos off a car, that makes a huge difference.
Yep.
That's like having one more good-sized passenger in the car or one less. It's a big difference.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so we're gonna have the Polos. Hopefully, most likely, is it gonna be a winter build project, or?
Yeah, I think that we'll probably. I'd asked for the cars in February, so we built them to our specification, what we need. I went ahead, even though we didn't need it, got the digital dash so it looks nice, and things like that. And then we went ahead and ordered one of each color so that we would have the whole color range, just to make it easy for us and neat for the customers. If people come with 3 of them, they know, oh, I'm in the silver one, something like that. So, but yeah, so we want to get the cars in February is my goal. Like I said, they've already been ordered. Everything's done, and they're going to start the assembly process. But February delivery, and then that'll let us build them the second half of February and into March. We're still up in the air of what we're going to do. The other thing that I really liked about the Polo was the seats. When I went out and did my laps, I was doing very quick laps. They weren't just putting around, and I was in the seat. I was in the seat. I was secured in the seat. I wasn't flying around. I wasn't moving around. I was very happy with how I was held in the seat. I don't know that we're going to fully cage them or put suspension or what we're going to do. We may do some of them with like a JRZ base suspension or something like that, just to give people that feel. But those cars are so damn good like they are, that I don't know what they need.
Yeah.
The white one and the black one have served us so well, and are just a blast to drive.
Yeah.
So we'll see in the winter. I'm actually going to come up this weekend and do a bunch of laps in the black Polo on Sunday, just get some more feel for it, and what would I want to change if we were to change it, and go from there.
Now, another member of our fleet, the Sub 7 Up.
Yes, the Sub 7 Up. Yeah, so the Sub 7 Up actually has been a really good car to us for Misha's daily driver. Then it went into a cool little modification project and then a rental car. And we finally did a little upgrade with Miltech exhaust 2 weeks ago. And one thing that Misha and I really are excited to do is get on the track with that exhaust and see how it's changed the character of the car and the attitude of the car. But we'd have to put some new cam position sensors in first, because right after we got the exhaust, we ended up with a light for the cam sensor, so we've ordered that. So I'd say probably not this weekend, but the following weekend we can get that out and test it with the new Miltech exhaust. So that's something I'm really excited to try out.
Yeah. And later on, it's probably going to also go into retirement.
Yeah, it's probably going to go into retirement. In fact, after we test it out with the exhaust and do what we want to do there, make some fun videos, and really just we have never really given it a really cool review together. Once we give it a really cool review, then we actually want to put it up for sale.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the price the car only has, I think, 23,000 kilometers on it. It's not a very heavily used car. And a lot of those kilometers were when it was your daily driver before it even went on the track. We hadn't pushed the Sub 7 Up too much as a rental because it was a car that we felt was like a novelty, and the true fans of your channel and the beginnings of Apex were the ones that wanted to drive it. And they were always saying, oh, can Misha come with me, and things like that. So it was never a car that we were pushing as a heavy track use car. And so the kilometers are really low. So even though we have a suspension that probably costs more than a used up, and different things in it, we're still going to sell it for less than what the Blue Book would be, or the going rate would be for that car with no mods. So that's still the plan, is to make it something very fair, something accessible. Hopefully that somebody that's in your community or from YouTube that's always looking at it, or someone that's always around Apex can hopefully get their hands on and enjoy.
Yeah. So stay tuned for that. Last thing, of course, we have the Supra, but I think the only thing that we can say to it will be modified. How exactly? Stay tuned to find out.
It'll be modified.
Yeah.
We're definitely excited to do that. I think the car has so much potential. It's very quick. I had it on the Autobahn the other night and definitely maxed it out a handful of times. And it's a quick car. It's a very, very capable car. It has so much potential. In the stock form, it could be alignment. It could be different things. It's not. The rear end is not safe at high speeds, and it's one of those things that we need to fix that with the suspension before we can rent it out. I would say, if you have somebody that's experienced that knows what they're doing, then they're going to handle it just fine. But if somebody says, "Oh, I want to drive a Supra," and they take it on the Nordschleife and really push it, it's not going to end well. I can tell you that much right now.
Yeah, exactly.
But when the suspension goes on it, and even we just get the alignment where we want it to be, it's going to be incredible, because already in the dry, when you're in the dry on the car and you're doing medium speed stuff like Hatzenbach, when you're going through Hatzenbach, or even I really enjoyed Piff Paff or Spiegelkurve down into Miss Hit Miss. That was a blast. Those turns right there show that the car is very balanced. It's very, very balanced. It's just when you get to the high speed stuff, maybe you're coming, Schradenkreuz, for example, if you come over the crest and then brake, the back end wants to rotate too much. If you come into maybe come down Flansgarten 2, down in that area, Bellafest, the back end wants to move around a little bit. The braking zone into Schwalbenschwanz is a little bit tricky. But when you get the suspension dialed in and you get the car, what I think is happening is the nose is diving too much and it's unloading the back. Once you get that car planted where it's not moving around and the weight transfer isn't too much, then I think you're going to have a car that's going to be very well balanced, and probably one of my favorite in the fleet.
Well, excited to find out. And now to the last topic of today's already very long summit, racing.
Racing, let's go.
I just picked up today my fresh new
A permit
Nordschleife International C license, so I can do 24 hours race. Hopefully after this weekend Tim will be able to do the same.
Yep.
We have Lewis, who already has his. Of course, we have also top level like taxi drivers who already drive for other teams like David. We have Moritz, of course. So actually everything is there except for you.
Yeah, but the thing is that I think that everyone has a role in what they do, and everyone should do something. I think that if I wanted to race, obviously, if it was something that was on my forefront, then we'd make it happen, and I'd be in whatever car we wanted to be in, and this and that and the other, and I'd be doing it. But I think that everyone has a good role and a good position. I love driving the track. I love going out and taking, if it's the McLaren for a lap or the GT2 for laps, or heck, what was it, Sunday we were out in the T6 bus, you know, and we were going out with the kids in the T6, and I think Lauren and Victor were in the back, all the way in the back, and you know, so it was just, I love the track and driving anything, but I get my enjoyment from seeing everyone do what they do, you know, and that makes me proud of the team, and it's kind of what my purpose with it all is. And so for me, I'm not going to go out and win a race in a GT3 car, or probably any car for that matter. The only way I'm going to win is if it's down to consistency. You know, I'll go out and I'll drive and I'll make sure the car doesn't crash. I'll make sure it gets back in one piece, and you probably won't need to put new brake pads on it. You know what I mean? But I can drive at a quick pace, but not at a race. I don't want to drive at a race winning pace. That's the point. Everyone's out there chasing their sub 7 minute lap and TF and these things, and I don't even care. You know, I don't even care. I don't even know what kind of lap times we're doing. You know, Tom said the other day, oh, that was the fastest lap I've ever been on when we went out in the 675. I'm like, oh, what was it? And he, you know, and like, you know, it's not a real big concern for me. And so when you have, you know, you guys that want to drive and it's exciting for you guys and something you want to do, that actually makes me happier than saying, oh, I need to drive, I'm going to be in the driver's seat. You know, if I can help put together a race team and the guys that want to drive are driving and I'm able to put it together, that's actually fulfilling a dream of theirs. I don't have a dream to become the next VLN superstar. You know, that's not my thing. So why can't I help those guys do my part, and then they go and do their part in the car? And it's the same with the taxis. Why am I not driving all the time? For me, it's awesome seeing Tim and Moritz and David and, you know, Fabson and all these guys go out and just blow out amazing laps, you know, in the McLarens and the GT2 and the M3. That's why sometimes if you look at my YouTube channel, there's laps of other guys driving my cars, you know, and it's because they're out there making those cars do what they should and having a really good time doing it. And I think that's really neat. So that's why, not me. You know, that's the bottom line. But we're at the point now where I've always said that with Apex, we'll do taxi if everything's right with the rental cars, right? Everything has to be right with the rental cars to do taxis. Everything has to be right in the hotel to do taxis. Everything has to be working, and then you take it to the next level in the next business venture, I guess you should say. Now the taxis are working. We have right now we have the best team in place running the taxis that we've ever had. I'm so excited about it because each change we make or each move we make, whether it be with cars, staffing, concepts, planning, it just takes it to the next level. We were constantly raising the bar of how many laps we want to do, and for us as a growing team, these are good milestones. You know, once we become established, and it's not just like, oh, we're the newcomers to the taxi program, those should be expected, right? And so we're getting to the point where we're getting more laps and we're getting to where we're comfortable in the position. And that's satisfying to see. We're in a point where the maintenance of the taxis is something that we can handle. The maintenance of the rental cars is something we can handle. We've refined all of our parts supplies. We refined the processes.
Yeah, when we started like last year, we're like, 10 laps per day. Oh my God, run this. And now like 60 laps. Yeah. Like.
And that's the thing, and that's the team developing. You know what I mean? That's the team developing and understanding how to manage customers coming in, how to manage somebody that didn't show up. Okay, throw somebody else in, book another lap, you know, make things happen. And that's really what it boils down to. So as those pieces fall into place, it means we can go to the next step. So next year we will have a car present in VLN. We're working on the exact model. We're working on the cases of it, and we may even have 2 cars present in VLN. So the one car, we're thinking somewhere in the direction of like a V2T car, something in that direction, as a nice step in for us.
V2T stands for a turbocharged 2-liter engine car. So examples would be like 430 BMW, which is a 2-liter turbocharged.
Yeah, or the 330.
Or 330 Mercedes 330. Like a McChip.
And I guess
racing.
would that also be like Cupras and all that stuff could be in that as well, right? So anything in that category.
This is going to be like the new hottest class, replacing the current V6 class, which is a naturally aspirated up to 3-liter engine. So you had like the Carrera 901 Mark I, the BMW M3s, etc. So the V2T is going to be the next hot thing. So it's going to be very competitive and very interesting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a neat class, actually. You already saw it this year. There was some cool stuff happening in it, and I think it's only going to grow because the V3 and V4 and V6 and all the cars are just getting old. You know, they're getting older. They're not that exciting. They're not cars that we were looking at saying, wow, we really want to get an old BMW and, you know, E90 and race that. That's of no interest.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not relevant anymore, really. There's a lot of them out there because now they're getting cheaper, and it's almost turning into bumper cars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's going to be probably step one. And the idea is that we race it the first year, really go out and have a good time with it. It's something that on the budget is light and easy, and you can have a lot of fun and laugh about and get some good kicks out of. But then it can actually turn into a customer racing experience after that. So once we've run it and got a good system and built the team in the way we want, then we can actually let customers come in and take a seat. If somebody wants to race with Misha or, you know, whatever, we can do that. And then at that point, we would step up to a faster car with the same drivers, move them into a quicker car, and then slowly build up in that regard.
Yeah, and actually the low-level car is supposed to be street legal.
Right.
So maybe in the second year it could be like used as a rental, so people can use it as a track day rental or a TF rental.
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess that's pretty much it. Like a small glimpse into the future in this already a very long summit. I guess let us know for the upcoming summit what you want to know. Give us some suggestions for maybe one of the cocktails here at the bar. Come taste it yourself. Do you have anything you want to add?
No, I think that's really covers most of the topics. I mean, I'm sure we could go on for another 2 hours. If
Yeah,
we
probably
to,
as well. But I mean, we both have things to do, although people usually don't see it like that. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for watching, and see you in tomorrow's video when I don't know what's going to happen, but something very nice and exciting. Thanks to you. Bye-bye.